It's 7 o'clock. I'll call this meeting to order. This is the Breezy Point City Council. The date is June 1st, 2015. It's 7 p.m. First order of business is Pledge Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It's nice to see all these faces here on this beautiful night. Thank you. First order of business is the consent calendar. The consent calendar consists of the council minutes from the April 27th meeting and approval of claims totaling $23,936.68, which incorporates checks 132,008 through 132,049. Is there anything that you would like to see pulled off the consent calendar? Councilman Maroney?
No.
Councilman Williams?
No.
Councilman Bakken?
No, sir.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar as is.
So moved. Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Consent calendar is approved. The next order of business is open forum. Those people having business before the, or having anything to bring before the city council, you may do so at this time.
Pam Lillihide, 29828 Lakeshore Drive, Breezy Point. I just wanted to compliment the council and everybody involved, the staff. The fishing pier is just an absolute hit. Every time Carol Wohlers and I walk by, there's somebody there. Tom and I walked by the other night and there was a young family there and they're catching fish and it's just a lovely place, so I'd like to thank you all for that. And then the public beach, there's new sand added to that, and that's really nice. And people aren't swimming yet, of course, but it's a really popular beach. So I think the added sand will be a nice addition.
Thank you.
Seeing no other hands, I'll come forward. Joanne Weaver. I reside at 9914 Weavers Point Road. My mother lives on Birchwood Drive, North Birchwood Drive, in a house that my husband and I own, and across the street from that is a problem in my book, in my opinion. On Tuesday, May 19th, I sent an email. I sent it to Joe Redberg, Jerry Bonesack, and Mayor Tom Lillihide. And I did receive a very timely and informative response from the mayor. It was later in the day when I received an FYI from the city administrator that had attached information regarding why that was there, and apparently Jerry allowed them to have it. His email to Joe said 30 to 60 days. That was on Tuesday. On Thursday, I came to City Hall. I told Joe that I was really sort of upset because nobody was talking to me and nothing seemed to happen, and there were, other than what I've just described, there were 4 or 5 cars over there. There was all kinds of activity. It was reminiscent of other holidays where they've had bonfires, and in the past the police have been called, and I don't think zoning administration is a police matter. Anyway, on Friday, I came back to City Hall, and I met Jerry as he was going out, told him of my concerns. He said he'd already been over to that address earlier that morning. He had advised the owner of the property at 30355 North Birchwood Drive that the pod would have to be moved back and that it could only stay on that property for 14 to 30 days, which is different than the 30 to 60 he had mentioned in the original email. I reminded him that nearly 1 week had already passed as the POD was moved, the pod was moved in 2 to 3 days prior to my initial complaint. He said he understood. So here it is, June 1st. Nothing's happened, except if you look at picture number 2, the second page of your handout, I took the picture the first day on the 19th when I initially made the complaint. That's the one on the left. The other one I took this morning. It appears that a barrier has been built adjacent to the pod so that they can store more stuff out there. The problem is this structure, I don't believe it meets any, By ordinance, it shouldn't be there. Now, it was allowed to come in by a staff person. For how long, it's unclear to me, but it needs to go in my regard, or my opinion. And I think City Council, along with P&Z, should discuss if this is a direction they want to go forward in the future. I mean, there was some discussion about this pod being moved from that address to a Lakeview address where they were going to move to. You're going to have these things all over the city if you start allowing it. Do we want that? It needs to be decided by the people who are sitting up at these tables. Another thing that's an issue in years past, I have called the police because it's a weekend, it's a holiday. There are multiple cars, bonfires this high. The police get there, and there are some things that can't be enforced because I understand the ordinances are written in a way that there are loopholes, correct? Correct?
Correct.
Okay. So when future ordinances, and even the ones we have on the books, I think they ought to be reviewed. I mean, if we're going to have them, we get people to serve on these committees and commissions, and they spend hours reviewing, discussing, trying to do the best thing for everybody, and with the wave of a pen, the whole thing is dismissed. Do what you want. If we're going to have one person make all the decisions for how things are laid out in this city, so be it. And I honestly think in the very end, nobody likes enforcement. But as I already said, it's not a police matter. It needs to be zoning. And maybe we as a city need to allocate some funds for that sort of thing. It's been a very unpopular task, and I can go back years. I was part of that. But I don't like it. Now, June 8th is the Planning and Zoning meeting. And I think I have enough information here that it's pretty clear for you as the liaison to P&Z to go tell them what my problem is, right?
This will suffice nicely, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, and I really hope I don't have to come back to the next public forum in a month and complain about this thing again. Any questions for me?
May I ask you a
Yeah,
question?
sure, yes, go ahead.
Why, do you understand why the difference with 30 to 60 days and 14 to 30? What is that? Have you seen it in the ordinance?
The first 30 to 60 was written in an email from Jerry to Joe. And the 14 to 30 was a verbal from Jerry to me on that Friday morning. I do not know why the numbers differ.
So you haven't seen it somewhere in the ordinance where it refers to either period of time?
No.
Well, I'd make a comment. I agree. I would like to see things brought into compliance, and I am not excited about seeing this type of thing in Breezy Point neighborhood.
Thank you. Any other questions for me?
I just have one question for Joe. Correct me if I'm wrong, but our ordinances don't specifically allow these, and they don't specifically disallow them, is that correct?
That's correct.
So what we're dealing here is something that we really don't have any control over.
The 14 to 60 day, or 14 to 30 days is in the ordinance for temporary structures, and the 60 to 90 or whatever
Right.
Jerry said was shooting from the hip. He was not at City Hall when he emailed.
Right, and this pod would be, it's a stretch to say it's a temporary structure.
Correct.
Essentially, it's a box sitting on the front yard that is in the process of getting filled. And as such, we don't really have any ordinance on it, per se.
Per se.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think that's the issue here, is we don't really have this as part of our either allowed or disallowed. So we're dealing in a gray area here. That's part of the problem.
We have a book that's 2 inches thick
Right.
with ordinances, and nothing happens because of what's being written down. I mean, if we don't have it, then let's explore whether we want it.
And that's an unfortunate situation in the fact that we do not have anyone specifically assigned for enforcement. Enforcement is essentially complaint driven. Now, this is a complaint that is very specifically targeted for an object that is not in our ordinances. So that's the problem. We're going to work with the people to get this cleared out of there as soon as possible. But I think you'll have to bear with us at this point, because this is an area that we do not have regulation on.
Okay?
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
You came from P&Z, you came from P&Z, we all have come from P&Z. I seem to recollect that like a second structure, an auxiliary structure, should be similar color and material and appearance to the primary structure. This would probably not meet that.
It's not a permanent
So it's not
structure.
a permanent structure, and that's why I'm saying it's a stretch to say this box, it's a pod. It's a portable on-demand storage.
Yeah.
That's what it stands for.
Yeah, But
And-
there's been one of similar thing like that sitting in my neighborhood for years, and I've complained many times.
Okay, and that's,
So,
you know, if it's been sitting there for years,
Yeah.
then that should not be allowed, okay?
So
Because
I-
that's basically junk. But in
Yeah.
this case, it still has the the identification of the pod right on it. So this
They
is,
do, and they have been told they have till what date to get off, that's
Yeah.
what I'd like to know.
yeah,
It's an-
I don't know what Jerry told him, but I can
Right.
sure find out.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I think,
Can
Yeah.
we request this go to P and Z?
well, that's what.
I'm gonna take
That's
it
the
on
direction
the
that,
8th,
No,
if I may.
not
Yes.
just as a liaison comment, but maybe as an agenda item.
Well, yeah, the
Great.
council can
Yeah.
put that on.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I
And that's-
think
that's-
you
that's
need
where
a
I'm
motion
going.
to do that.
Yes, that's where I'm going, is that because
All right.
this is something that we do not really have an ordinance on for portable on-demand storage units, okay? We
probably
need to
comes
generate
from-
one. But in this case, you know, unfortunately, we're in a gray area because you can't really call this a structure at this point. In your neighborhood, because that's been sitting there for a long time, that's not a pod.
But you know what? And I don't, probably shouldn't say this out loud, I better not. Give an idea.
Okay. So that's kind of where we are. And, you know, we will take it to P and Z next month. But it is going to be in the form of needing to draft some sort of ordinance to control portable on-demand storage.
And is there a way to legally determine whether it is actually being used for storage or sleeping quarters?
That's the $64,000 question. If the person is just plunking it there and intending to keep it there, then that's not allowed.
Mr. Mayor, may I make a couple
Yes,
comments now?
please.
A couple observations on my part. Number one, you said next month for planning and zoning.
I mean, this month.
June
The-
eighth.
I want
the
to
next-
correct
next
that
meeting.
for the minutes.
Yeah.
It will go
Yeah.
June 8th.
Thank you.
Yes.
I will bring that to him. And I totally agree with what you're saying. It's a very gray area. However, Madam Weaver presented a pretty strong case. Notice was given to these folks, whatever it says in the area, a week's notice, and some time has already gone on the 14 to 30 days. So I would just encourage the administrator and the planning and zoning administrator to see what we can do. We have to check with the attorney. But I totally agree with everything well presented, and there's no excuse for that. I have a couple other things that I have similar to this, but it's a trailer that I've spoke with the zoning administrator also about. Been there for a long time, needs to be moved. So with that, I would make a motion, or if you're ready for that.
If, well,
We don't need a motion.
We don't need.
You don't need a motion?
No, we do not need
Very
a
well.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank
I
you.
will sit down, and I appreciate the fact that you listened to me, and I hope that there will be action. Thank you.
I suspect there will, it's just how quick it'll be.
Anybody else to come before open forum? Nobody else appearing? I will close the open forum. Mayor and City Council reports. It has been kind of quiet around here, which is good. I don't have anything very specific to talk about unless you do, Joe. Okay. Council members, Councilmember Maroney.
Nothing to report on.
Okay. Councilmember Williams.
I would just start getting some mention out there, the butterfly release, July 18th.
Sounds good.
We've probably seen it in the blog. We are getting 2 more musical instruments for the park, and these would be smaller ones for smaller little people.
Actually,
Are here? Oh, yeah.
Okay. And you just jogged my memory. I was at the Region 5 meeting last night, and one of the issues, or one of the things that they're working on is the Art Place grant that we are negotiating for at this point. And actually it's looking pretty good, but the decision will be made August 1st, in which case then money could be made available through that grant for even more musical instruments.
They seem to be a hit from
Yes.
what I'm told.
Councilman Bakken.
Just one item, Mr. Mayor, that would concern the Planning Commission dealing with banners. They're working on it and getting some very good input from city administrator and the zoning administrator, and they're all. It's going to happen. I can't tell you what, but they're working very hard on it. And the direction I see it going, if I may, is I think they're all cognizant that these are businesses that support this area, and the area thrives on them, and they're responsible people. So I think we'll have a favorable outcome on that.
Okay, very good. Next order of business is from the Personnel Committee. It's hiring of a Assistant Public Works Supervisor. As you remember, last month we hired Neil Carlson to be an heavy equipment operator, and he was also he was very well qualified for that position, and he also applied for the Assistant Supervisor position, for which he also interviewed for in this last go-round. And he was determined by the committee to be the most qualified for the Assistant Public Works Supervisor, even though he's only been working here for a couple of weeks. And so the recommendation was to hire Neil at an established pay rate of $16.78 an hour. And with that pay rate, he was originally hired at $16.78 an hour, and with that pay rate, he was subject to a step increase in 2 years. And with this promotion, we would start him at the same pay rate as the assistant Public Works Supervisor. And then once he completed his introductory period of 1 year from the date of his promotion, then he would be eligible for a step increase. So essentially, he is stepping up from heavy equipment operator to Assistant Public Works Supervisor. I will entertain a motion to promote Neil Carlson to Assistant Public Works Supervisor.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Councilman Maroney?
Just as part of the interview committee, I personally felt Neil was one of our best candidates for the position, and that's why this is in front of us tonight.
Councilman Williams?
I have nothing to add.
Councilman Bakken?
Nothing.
And I will, as part of the interview committee, would also echo what Councilman Maroney had said. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations to Neil Carlson, Assistant Public Works Supervisor. With the promotion of Neil, now that leaves the opening for Public Works heavy equipment operator. And we interviewed candidates as part of the supervisor position. We did have one candidate who would be very valuable working for Breezy Point. Name is Jory Carlson, and the committee recommended that he be hired for the Public Works heavy equipment operator at $16.16 an hour, and would be an introductory employee for 1 year. This is kind of the best of both worlds. In other words, we're getting two very good candidates. Motion to hire Jory Carlson as the Public Works heavy equipment operator would be appreciated.
So moved.
Is there a second? Any comments, Commissioner Bakken?
No, sir.
Councilman Bakken?
None.
Councilman Williams?
No.
Councilman Maroney?
Again, part of their interviews, Jory was a likely candidate to be filling this position. Since we had concluded with Neil being promoted, Jory was going to be a great addition to the team.
Correct. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations, Jory Carlson. Next order of business is following up on the audit report. Following the audit report, we do some adjusting of funds. In this case, in our unreserved cash fund, the general fund, we like to keep that at 45%, and the calculation would recommend a transfer of $17,379, and the Finance Committee felt that with that smaller amount, it would just be better to keep it in the general fund reserved. So we're not recommending any transfer on the general fund. Also looking at the sewer fund and applying the same criteria, we come up with a transfer of $78,706. Resolution 1512 has been provided for to make that happen. And I'll entertain a motion for Resolution 1512.
I'll make the motion for resolution 15-12.
There's a second. Any discussion? Councilman Williams?
No, I think that's good to keep that over 17 in the general fund.
Councilman Bakken?
None.
Councilman Browning?
None.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Resolution is adopted. Next order of business is our favorite topic, paving of roads. In previous years, we've had been kind of compressing the schedule and trying to get things going on a hurry-up schedule. The road committee has met, and following a comment that we should finish paving roads that are half completed rather than establish new roads as a priority. With that in mind, the two roads that they're considering for paving in 2016 will be Winter Trail between Logging Lane and Shady Trail, and the second would be Scenic Overlook from Shady Trail to White Overlook. We would like to get started early on this so we can have good engineering put in place and get a good proposal so that we can get it out for bids early. Resolution 1513 has been prepared for approval to get this process started. I'll accept motion for Resolution 1513.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, Councilman Bakken?
None.
Councilman Maroney?
As part of the roads committee, we discussed roads in detail on these, and this is why these two came to the forefront as being the half-completed roads. We felt these were two likely candidates to move forward with an order and feasibility study to see where we stand with them, and to make some progress going forward to getting some additional roads paved throughout the city and upgraded from the gravel road to asphalt.
Any other discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution 1513 is adopted. And as part of the follow-up to that, we have a proposal from Whitsett and Smith to provide the feasibility study for lump sum fee of $2,900 to do the preliminary assessment here for that'll get us through the preliminary assessment hearing. Consider a motion for approving the proposal for engineering services for the paving of Winter Trail and Scenic Overlook.
Also moved.
Second,
Second. Diane.
Councilman Williams. Councilman Maroney? Any discussion? Councilman Williams? Councilman Bakken?
No, sir.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Let's move forward on the proposal for the feasibility study. Next order of business is the
No parking.
no parking zones along Breezy Point Drive. As you can see by the pictures there, the traffic coming in and out of the Breezy Point Resort can be heavy at times, and with vehicles parking on Breezy Point Drive, it limits it almost down to one lane. The city has the authority to designate no parking areas under section 70.068 of our code, and it's been proposed to have no parking established between the clubhouse lane and the entrance to Breezy Point Inn and Suites. And on the same topic, another area of no parking has been, or an area of no parking desired is right across from the fishing boardwalk. We have installed signs there already, but in order to technically enforce the no parking in this area, we need a formal declaration. So Resolution 1511 has been drafted to add designated no parking areas on Breezy Point Drive as stated before, and on the area across from the fishing pier.
I'll make the motion for resolution 1511.
Second.
Discussion, Councilman Williams.
I do, it talks about having some signage of where to park their trailers. Is it really far away, or where is it?
It's not very far away.
No.
It's kind of behind the Inn and Suites parking lot.
Oh,
Just down the road and up to the right, there's all kinds of
It's
room.
not very far away.
okay. Just wondered where it was.
Yes. Councilman Buck.
Yeah, I would like to comment. It needs to be done. I especially noticed that this year I traverse that road daily, sometimes in from the south and Breezy Point Drive by the fishing pier, and I've seen them park on the sidewalks there, side of the sidewalk, and that shouldn't be. And this early or late spring, it was down to one lane. There was about 6-8 boats on the right-hand side.
That'd be a
Gotta be-
problem for a fire truck.
Absolutely, it's got to be taken care of.
Yep. Councilman Brony.
The only question I'd have would be for staff that chief has seen these issues arise and
Yeah, it is definitely a problem. I would actually correct that the area needs to be a little bit beyond the actual entrance to Inn and Suites, and actually be the entire distance in front of Inn and Suites, because they'll park further to the east, all the way up to where the trailer parking is. And so it should be a little bit further than what's really described here.
Isn't, Kevin, just a clarification, isn't there one on the other end, an entrance? I mean, maybe that's my error.
Yeah, there'd be a parking lot entrance on the other end, so maybe that's what you were
That's
referring
what
to.
I meant, yeah.
Okay. As long as we're clear as to where it ended.
so we'll work with you on proper placement of signs.
Okay.
So does that affect the wording on the resolution?
Would that be the west end or
East end.
east end? I'll just put that in here, if that's all right.
Fine with me.
Yep.
Right, the actual resolution,
It does say where. South side, clubhouse line and entrance to Breezy Point Inn and Suites.
East entrance to the Breezy Point Inn and Suites parking lot.
okay, so should we revise this, or,
With that clarification, you can call the motion.
okay.
And you're
So-
putting the word east in front of entrance.
Yes.
On the resolution.
Oh, okay. With that change, then everybody would be acceptable?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Resolution is approved with those changes. Next order of business is one that we really like to see. We received a $1,000 donation from Thomas and Mary Bender to the city of Breezy Point for landscaping efforts at the cemetery. The amount of the donation, the council should act on accepting it. We'll accept a motion to accept the...
I'll make the motion accepting the donation from Thomas and Mary Bender to the cemetery.
Okay.
Second, with the city's thanks.
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment, and we've
Yes.
got many donations in this whole packet. It's really appreciated how generous people are at Breezy Point.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Councilman Buchan?
Very thankful for it.
Councilman Barney?
Very thankful.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The donation is accepted. And I'll get a thank you letter off to the vendors for that. Next order of business is another donation, which we are very thankful for. It's for funding of the Lucas II CPR machine. And I believe this has already been purchased at this point, or?
It is not. We're waiting to gather all the funds.
Okay. But I know we've had a couple other donations in last month, as well as now this one coming from the Growing Power Community Trust. It's Operation Roundup. It's for $2,000. And the Lucas II machine it's a lifesaver. It definitely is very nice to have. And this machine would be in officers, which?
Garcia.
Officer Garcia's car, so that it would be available. So we would have one available literally 24 hours a day. Accept a motion to approve the donation from Growing Power Community Trust.
I'll make the motion to accept this
Is
donation.
there a second?
Second.
Comments? Councilman Williams?
Once again, I appreciate having our city been selected, and
Right.
I don't know who's responsible for making the application. If it was you, Kevin, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Councilman Buchan?
Very thankful for it.
Councilman Maroney?
No additional comment.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
The donation is accepted. Next item of business is revision to the Cyber's policy. The Cyber is a database of incidents. Basically, it's a criminal investigation database. And as part of an audit, it was recommended that we need to have a change to the policy that is required for access. And the change is located on page 2 of the policy, number 7, to access the data at the request of the data subject. Chief, if there's any more explanation we need on this, or?
No, it's just unfortunate. We just did this last fall, and they realized they had, through all the wording in here, it was accessed by the subject, but it wasn't specifically spelled out in the permissible list.
Okay. So it's essentially just a kind of administrative oversight type of thing? Okay. I will entertain a motion to approve the policy change.
Also move.
Second? Councilman Maroney?
Just seems like a formal thing to do.
Okay. Councilman Williams?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Councilman Buchan?
None.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? The policy change is approved. Next item of business is the LPR policy, which is for an automated license plate reader. This is a new piece of equipment, is that correct?
Correct.
Yes, and as such, we need a policy to use this device. This is a device that automatically reads the license plate, and it will give the officer quick access to the history on that license plate and the driver of it. You want to add anything else, Commissioner, Chief?
Just that it is actually it's a static database of wanted and stolen and various other reasons. It will not run a license plate through Minnesota DVS. If your plate has no specific want or flag on it, it will simply ignore it. It only compares against a database of plates with issues and alerts the officer. It's impossible for us to remember all these. We get a dozen of them at least every day just in Crow Wing County, and this is a nationwide database. So if there's somebody coming through from Iowa, it's much safer for the officer because they'll be alerted to potential problems before they're walking up to a vehicle.
Okay. I was just going to say, entertain a motion to adopt
So moved.
the policy.
Second.
Councilman Bakken?
No, I'm all for it.
Councilman Rhodey?
I know this really doesn't pertain to the policy, but has it effectively worked yet? Have we had a hit?
We have one technical glitch to overcome yet, where it's a new vendor to the state of Minnesota, and that's why we got such a cut rate deal. So we're working through that. They have one final, getting IT people, 3 different, Crow Wing County and CW Technology and the BCA all lined up, and, you know, stars in alignment takes a little time. So one last item and it'll be up and running.
Perfect, thank you.
Kevin, when it's been used for a while, will you give us some kind of report back on if it's
Yep.
been successful and been, you know, instrumental?
We intend to track the cases that this LPR has an effect on, and we'll let you know.
Okay.
Good.
All those in favor of adopting the APR APR plate reader policy?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Policy is adopted. Next one, I think everybody's aware the liquor code got revised in the last legislative session, and there is a copy of the updated, a synopsis of the updated Omnibus Liquor Act law. And as such, there's several items of our policy that would need a revision. And Ordinance 1503.
I'll make the motion for that ordinance, 1503.
Right, needs to be updated to allow those changes.
Second.
Comments, Commissioner Williams?
No, no comment.
Comments, Commissioner Bakken?
No comment, Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Maroney? No comment. All those in favor of Ordinance 1503, update?
Aye. Aye.
And then I'll make another motion for the summary to be published
Okay. The summary, publishing.
of 1503.
There's a second to that?
Second.
Okay. The summary, any comments?
No,
No.
cheaper than
All those in
publishing
favor?
the whole thing.
Aye. Aye.
The Ordinance 1503 is adopted and a summary to be published. The last order of business is the sale of the 2004 Explorer, and sealed bids were received at until 3 p.m. on the 26th of May for the Explorer. Total of 7 bids were received, which ranged from a high of $6,004.99 to a low of $3,350, which was the reserve bid amount. The high bid was from Lana Schmidt of Ironton, Minnesota. Motion to accept the high bid of $6,004.99 would be appreciated.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The Explorer is sold. That completes the items on the agenda tonight.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
One quick parting item. I think if you'll check the minutes, Kathy, I said that June 8 was the Planning Commission meeting. It's June 9. I correct myself.
At least you got the month right. I had the month wrong. So.
Between the different.
It is adjourned.
Good.
I appreciate Pam giving us a report on seeing people fishing.
Yeah. Well, she walks by there every
She
day.
sees people
All the
walking.